So I acquired my facial difference in a car accident in 2015. I was aged 22. I was supposed to be volunteering in Ghana. We were traveling overnight in a van when we crashed, and I woke up in that van and kind of put my hand to my face and immediately realised it was cut open. So yeah, being a 22-year-old girl midway through university, it was a big adjustment. Suddenly looking like a completely different person, suddenly being associated now and having this thing stamped across my face that I know society largely saw as ugly and not something desirable for a woman, something that is a mark of a villain or a vulnerable person. So that was a massive adjustment for me, particularly at that age whilst I was a student at university. I found the experience of suddenly having facial scars and looking in the mirror, I almost saw kind of two sides of my face. I had to relearn how to do my makeup, which is something that I would, do as the average 22 young woman. And it was like there was two sides of my face. There was the side of my face that I recognized, and there was the side of my face that I tried to just not really look at. And it didn't help that they sewed half my eyebrow back in the wrong place, so I couldn't really do my eyebrows in a symmetrical way anymore. And I tried to hide as best as I could for a period of time. I've got very thin hair, and yet I tried to have a fringe cut in to cover up as much of my scar as I possibly could. For a time, I kind of stopped wearing bright clothes or wanting to attract attention to myself, and I just became a bit more introverted. And that went on for about 6 months, which in hindsight is not that long a time really, but at the time it felt like an age. It felt like I was stuck at home, it felt like I was hiding away, it felt like all of my friends were out there living their lives and I just felt like this different person. I was having an identity crisis. And it wasn't until I started kind of going out a bit more regularly, even just to the supermarket with my parents, where I'd be on crutches, and I felt very exposed for a period of time. And it wasn't until I started going out and noticing the stares or just feeling very vulnerable that I started to get really angry. And I started to notice the stares or the comments from people that were well-meaning, but actually that just infuriated me because I hated more than anything the idea that someone might pity me. I hated more than anything the idea that someone might look down upon me or think, oh, well, she'll never feel beautiful again, or she'll never feel confident again with that on her face. And it was that internal kind of dialogue that lit this fire within me to want to prove people wrong purely out of spite, to say, well, no, I will feel confident and I will feel beautiful, and that will be me, like my definition of beautiful. And I've been through this major thing, been through this really traumatic incident, and I've come out the other side of it stronger than ever. And I wanted to wear that as a badge of honor. I wanted to really, really celebrate that. And that was what lit this kind of defiant fire within me that wanted to prove people wrong. What actually was really hard for me at the time was looking myself in the mirror, and yet it was looking myself in the mirror and sitting with myself and spending a bit of time kind of really embracing my differences that actually really helped me to kind of heal and to feel like myself again. And I know that's really confronting and it's really hard, but it's the hardest things and it's being forced to be visible, being forced to sit with yourself, being forced to show my differences. Now, I'll actually kind of scrape my hair back because I won't want people to think that I'm trying to hide. And it's that kind of faking it until you make it that actually really enables you to assert, I'm here, this is me, take it or leave it. I think the way that visible differences and facial differences are represented and having positive, normalized role models in the public eye is absolutely vital. I had a few people like Katie Piper that I could look up to who were in the media, who were really just out there sharing their stories, cracking on with life, being kind of successful, creative, and that was absolutely fundamental to me realizing that there was hope. And the problem, I think, at the moment is that media representation of facial difference is so disproportionately negative. Another fundamental kind of milestone in my journey was actually when I first did share my story. I shared it in some tabloid newspapers who then took it completely out of proportion. They kind of talked about these surgeons who'd worked tirelessly to sew my face back together, and I was scarred for life, disfigured for life, and all of those sensationalized kind of words about my story made me feel exploited, and it made me realize that I was so used to seeing these stories of other people with facial differences in this kind of very dramatic sense. The way that the stories of people with facial differences are told in the public eye is playing into kind of one of 2 or 3 stereotypes around a villain or a vulnerable person. So we're just it's not being normalized. And that again just infuriated me and made me want to go out there and normalize difference and make sure that we're kind of seen and heard on our own terms. For centuries, people with facial differences have either been forcibly hidden away, hidden from the media, or we've internalized this idea from society that we should remain hidden, that we're not deserving of a place in society. And this is why we are proudly, defiantly coming out with this tagline, "We will not hide," to show solidarity with those that are going through that very normal process of feeling they might want to hide, to actually say that there are opportunities out there. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we deserve to have our faces seen in every aspect of society. Historically, there have been laws in place in America which have criminalized people with facial differences being seen in public. And to this day, around the world, there are children who are hidden away for some or all of their lives. There are children that are banned from attending school because they're told that they'll scare the other children. Infanticide, so children who are killed when they are born with a facial difference. These are real life stories that are neglected, hidden, not talked about in global society. And I think we forget that this is a real kind of experience in the here and now. I think it's easy to think that this is the stuff of the past, but actually these are the experiences of this community right now. And again, the fact that the facial difference community is absent from the public eye, from representation on the big screen, but also representation in terms of seeking high level roles across society, in government. We just don't see enough people with facial differences seeking those high level attainment and just having the opportunities that everybody should be afforded. So that is why we are kind of coming out with this defiant statement, "We will not hide." So we've been sold this lie that there is something wrong with facial difference, that we exist solely to be fixed, whether that's through plastic surgery or whether that's through filters or kind of hiding away. And the fact that, again, we are hidden in magazines, hidden from advertising, that just perpetuates this idea that we are not deserving of space in society on equal footing. And actually, what we're trying to say here is that facial difference is not a bad thing. We do not need fixed. And our voices deserve to be heard, and our faces deserve to be seen. Unfiltered, just here, proud to be ourselves. We will not hide.